When we move into the third round, Tyler, this is where we start to get a lot of opinionated picks, right? Like a lot of similar type players, this 15 to 18 point type position player. You start to get your quarterbacks, your high end tight ends. But this is also a range where we can see I think there's traps, and then there's probably some splash plays that are going to massively outplay their ADP. Who's a player that you like in this third round as far as where they're going in drafts currently?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit, all right? I'm going to cheat.
Again?
Yeah, I'm going to cheat.
You always cheat, bro.
Well, I didn't cheat the last time.
You put Lab McConkey. He wasn't second round, and you still went Lab McConkey.
Well, he was 25, basically second round. So I'm going to, because I've preached this a lot throughout this drafts, because I've done so many drafts. So for me personally, like, it's not so much a player that I would avoid, it's a position I would avoid, and then a position I would target. So I think the third round, there's so many good running backs that are still available in the third round. Even like if you look at the ADP here, you have guys like Kyren Williams goes in the third round. I know people are mixed on Breece Hall, like Amarian Hampton. Even like I'm okay with taking Kenneth Walker late third. I know his ADP isn't technically there, but like I just think that there's so many good running backs that are available in the third round. James Cook, like I personally believe that the third round should be a running back, just because there's a lot of very good options that have still a very high ceiling that I would want to target in this range compared to some of the other positions. So for me personally, like if I had to pick one running back who I would want, it's hard to pass up on Kyren Williams when he's in the third round, just because I know people are going to point to like he's not that good of a running back. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it doesn't matter when the one thing in fantasy football is a wide receiver has to be good in order to see volume. The same doesn't need to be true for a running back. A running back can be not very good, but the coaching staff really likes him. He just got paid and he sees elite usage. And a lot of times that just leads to fantasy points. So for me personally, when I see Kyren Williams available in the third round, I just think he's an automatic smash, just because we have a very safe workload with a running back who I know we were concerned about Blake Corum being involved last year. Wasn't at all. I know some people will say Jarquez Hunter this year, who I really like Jarquez Hunter, but like if Blake Corum wasn't involved last year and he was a third rounder and Jarquez Hunter was now a day 3 pick, do we really think he's going to be involved this year? And they just paid Kyren Williams? I doubt it. So for me personally, I just think Kyren Williams, like anytime I see him available in the third round, I just automatically click. And maybe you're not getting the RB1, but I want to say just 2 years ago, he averaged 20 fantasy points per game, or right around that, 18, somewhere around that. So like he has enough upside and enough of floor in this offense that I just think he's a no-brainer pick.
No, I like Kyren. My boy Laquan came on the show. He expressed a little concern about Kyren this year. He's kind of, I wouldn't call it, he said he's not going to call himself a Rams insider, but he goes to camp all the time. And I think that's the only reason why Kyren's even in this range. So the one thing I would say, if you draft James Cook, if you draft Kyren Williams, is that Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, is that a lot of the risk has already been baked into the ADP. So now you're getting a steal because these guys, when they perform, are probably closer to second round assets than they are third or fourth round assets. So I like the call there with Kyren Williams. A player I like, a position I like taking actually is receiver in this position, because I think there's a lot of upside to get a top 5 type-ish ceiling, especially on a weekly basis. Now, it does come with some risk, but I think in the first 2 rounds, especially with how much good talent is at the top, you can afford to take some like home run type risk here in the 3rd and 4th rounds. If you take running back, which has been a popular strategy for a lot of people, or if you go with some of the safer receivers, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Nico Collins and Puka, there's a lot of wiggle room here to explode here in the 3rd round. And I think T. Higgins, where he's going right now, is really a good value. He's one of my favorite picks in this round, especially if you decide you want to go safer at the top. Like I take a lot of Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, or even if you're going a little bit safer with the options. T. Higgins has that explosive potential, was wide receiver 6 on a points per game basis last year, and it feels like the team paid him. He said he wants to stay healthy this year. That's really the only risk you have with T. Higgins. When he plays, he's elite. When he plays, we know he's a top 12-ish to 10-ish receiver at floor. So for me, when I see T. Higgins down here, I'm like, okay, maybe there's some risk built in that he's going to get hurt. But outside of that, the same thing people love about Jamar Chase, they should be loving about T. Higgins. It's at just a slightly lower cost. And I'm like, for me, you can go get the running backs in this range, which I feel are really safe, but they also come with a lot of risk. I feel like with T. Higgins, Now you get the upside that we're kind of craving that a lot of these running backs really don't carry. We kind of know who the running backs are in this range. So I think one of my favorite picks in this round, the upside, T. Higgins.
Go with my least favorite. Is that what we're going to do now?
Yeah, least favorite now.
I couldn't disagree more. I hate the wide receivers in this range. And the reason being is I understand the kind of like upside with T, but T. Higgins has been around like 13, 15 fantasy points per game type of range, which is solid. Solid wide receiver too. But guess who's also been around that range? Devontae Smith, but he goes 2 rounds later. And this is my biggest problem with the wide receivers in this range is that I just feel like they've been pushed up the board because there needs to be wide receivers. So for me personally, like I don't see a big difference between, and I know you love him. I know he technically doesn't go in this range, but a lot of times he'll go late third. Marvin Harrison Jr. What the hell is the difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. and George Pickens, who goes 2 rounds later? Like you can get like Calvin Ridley in the 6th round that I think has just as much of upside as like some of these guys that are going in the 3rd round. So for me personally, like I hate the wide receiver position. I never take the wide receiver position. And all my paid leagues, and maybe I'll be completely wrong about this, but I have not taken wide receiver in the 3rd round. I'd rather go with a quarterback. I'd rather go with the tight end. But most of the time it's the running back position that I end up going in the 3rd round. So for me personally, like once again, the biggest problem that I have with 3rd round wide receivers is that I think it's very different from the 3rd round, or I think it's not. I don't think it's very different at all from the 3rd round wide receivers compared to like who's going in the 4th or in the 5th, 6th rounds compared to the running back position. I'd much rather have those guys. So for me personally, I don't take the wide receivers here. I don't.
Well, I'm not mad at that. The only thing is the receivers for me just have the upside, right? Like everybody craves upside here in the 3rd round. And I think with the running backs, for the most part, you're not getting that kind of upside, right? Like it's James Cook. We talked about it, James Cook, and Alvin sometimes creeps up in here. Brees sometimes creeps up in here. Sometimes you'll get like a Bucky or a Chase Brown that falls into this range. But there's a guy that the word upside is around in this 3rd round that I'm like, why are we talking about him? Amarian Hampton is currently the 35th ranked player going at the back end of the 3rd round, and some people are taking him higher than that. For a running back that has not touched the league yet, we're going to see his first NFL carries come week 1. For a running back that's probably going to be in a timeshare, just based on the history of what Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman like to do. For a team that typically we have never seen Greg Roman have running backs that go top 12. They just don't. That's not the way. He always runs a committee. And we've seen him this preseason. There's been a little juice, but nothing that screams, okay, Travion Henderson type rise. Why the hell has he come from RB20 range to now top 12 running back? Nothing substantial. I get it. 1st round running backs, they typically hit. There's an 80% chance they become top 12 running back. Now we're drafting him at the ceiling. It's not like he's an elite pass catcher. It's not. And there's still a 20% chance 1 out of the 5 that they don't hit. This doesn't profile to me as a top 12 running back in PPR, and he's going ahead of guys that absolutely do profile that way. So for me, I see Amarian Hampton. I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be a good back. Probably going to be league-winning asset down the stretch at some point when you're talking about a top 12 to 15-ish running back at cost. But the cost is too high now. Stop drafting Amarian Hampton so high. Please.
Why does he not have elite? Why doesn't he profile as an elite pass-catching running back?
Pat, you think that in that offense they don't use no pass catcher like that? There's none in Jim Harbaugh's offense. What running back have we ever seen in Jim Harbaugh or Greg Roman's offense that's been an elite pass catcher? That's not part of their game plan. That's not part of who they are. That's not their identity. Greg Roman has never had a pass catching running back ever. That's why. Okay. And maybe he caught passes in college and he's able to catch the football, but that definitely won't be his role.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, I thought you were talking about just like him, the player.
No, I mean he don't profile as that just in this offense.
Like in the offense, okay.
Yeah, you got Najee, you got him, and like it kind of reminds me a lot of an elevated J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. What we saw is we're going to probably be splitting drives, probably be splitting goal line work, and until
with Najee, no shot.
Najee's better than you think he is, bro.
Listen, the biggest problem with Najee, he hasn't even it's not even like Najee was on this team before. He was never on this team. This is his first year on this team, and he hasn't even participated in training camp. Like
he's been
there's going to be such
I've been talking about him too. A lot.
I don't care about they made it very clear what they think of Amarian Hampton. Like once again, they did not have to take Amarian Hampton. They could have went on any other position that they wanted to, but they said, "My God, Amarian Hampton is here. Let's draft him with our first pick." We could have brought back J.K. Dobbins, who did just fine for us last year and had a very good 1-2 punch with Najee Harris. But instead, they're like, "No, let's go to Amarian." So for me personally, I understand that maybe he doesn't have like super high upside, but who knows? Like, what if he's Derrick Henry-esque? Like, we don't know that he's just an absolute force between the tackles and is able. I mean, you look at his profile, like the best comparison for Amarian Hampton is Jonathan Taylor. So if you're getting Jonathan Taylor in this offense, I don't know if he'll be the RB1, but I think that there's at the very least, like top 5-ish mid RB1 upside with him. So I think he's a good target. Anyways,
that's future years.
No, this year.
Future years. I can talk about Amarian Hampton in my top 12 running backs. I don't mind doing that in future years, but this year, now
just be a year. You'll be a year too late to the party. It's okay. All of us will be like, yeah, we know JHEN. We were already here last year. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, kind of like Brees Hall last year, right?
Like Brees Hall. You liked him too.
Yeah. No, I didn't. No, we had a whole conversation about
you
Brees
didn't
Hall
like him at
I was saying 1 the whole time.
Okay, you didn't like him at 1.
Yeah, of course not.
But you liked him in the top 3.
I still like Brees Hall this year.
I still like him this year too. So